Hello, in today's video we are going to talk about cleaning throttle bodies and the mass airflow sensor. So I will first work on the throttle body, gain access to the throttle body, which is behind here. Then we shall address the MAF sensor, which is right here. Okay, this plug right here. So let's get to the throttle body first. You need 10mm tools, so a 10mm socket here. This right here is your throttle body. You have another one here. This is a dual intake, or rather dual throttle body intake in the M56. I believe the trucks do have a single. So after the 10mm tools to access your engine bay, you only need a few others. 8mm socket, flathead screwdriver, pair of pliers, and in this case I chose to use Phillips head screwdriver for the mass airflow sensor side, the MAF. So first thing is this one here. Let's get to this. Flathead screwdriver for these. You'll notice this rubber thing over here. That's just to help you locate the clamp once you loosen it. Should not be a big deal. Okay, that's loose enough. Let's go up to the top over there. On this side it's hidden a little farther back here, but it's just the same setup as it was over here. So I'm using the flathead as well. And again, you have the rubber nipple over there. In this case, it's just sorry if I had cotton mouth at that point. If I sounded like I had cotton mouth, I have cough drops in my mouth. It's that time of the year. Okay, so these 2 points are loose. Should be loose. So both joints should be loose right now. And I could pull it, but I need to pay attention to this part over here. This is part of the Pcv system. So I need to loosen that, and that's why I need the pliers. You could try to mess with this side or this side. My preference is usually right here because I have a little more control over this joint over here. If this piece of plastic tubing breaks, I can get a replacement. But if this breaks, I'm gonna have a bad day. So I just choose to attack it here. Channel locks might, not channel locks, but locking pliers might help as well. It's just a dance right now, really. And the dance is pulling this back while I clamp on it. At some point while doing all this fighting, I should probably mention that you do not need to mess with your throttle bodies and whatnot. It's not something that I do often. At least if your system is decently maintained, you don't usually have to mess with cleaning them, but I just had an opportunity and I figured might as well test the new camera today. Okay, here you go. Again, I'm not shaking it too aggressively. Well, in my opinion. Might look different from the camera. Alright, here we go. and then this one can usually twist away, not a problem. Alright, so you see it's got a little groove over here. So, and see how long it is. That's why you can't just release the clamp, or rather move it this half an inch off, then expect to just pull it. It's got quite a lot of length in there. Okay, now at this point I can really remove this tube. It's pretty simple. That's why you have this accordion in the middle. And twist it up, or however you want to. Okay, that's it. There's one of your intake tubes. I think at this point I'm gonna get the camera and maybe a light so we can look inside there. Look at that, it's clean, huh? Nothing to be cleaned here really, but I'll still go through the motions. This, I mentioned that, well, I gave some sort of a warning earlier. The warning was that you don't have to clean your throttle body and stuff, because usually you're more than likely to cause damage than you are to improve something that's going on with it. Anyway, well, here I'll remove this wire plug, this plug. It's easy, just pinch and pull it backwards. Well, there you go. Oh, finally. Okay, so this side's out. Then you also have the mass airflow sensor here. Just pinch and pull it backwards, pull it upwards. There you go. This one was here, I guess it came loose. Maybe this broke. Anyway, that's the mass airflow sensor. At this point, I will remove the mass airflow sensor element and then clean that. Then I will get to the throttle body as well. Right now we're at about 7 minutes in. I was trying to do this in real time, so let's see how well I do. Here, these might be 7mm hex screws, but in my case, since the thing is not badly corroded, I can use my Phillips head screwdriver. If you did that and you felt a loose strip going on, just stop. If you slipped even once, no need to cause any problems, right? These screws are kinda expensive, kinda not too hard to get. I think a lot of Nissans use them. This is it. So I'll set those off to the side. Then here, pull this element up. Alright, great. So they give you some visual cues. See the yellow? The yellow goes to the back, or to the engine side. You could try to flip it. They usually make these things kinda foolproof, so when you do it like this, you cannot screw it down. It doesn't fit well. So there you go. Okay, at this point, for the mass airflow sensor element, this is it. Usually you want to deal with this thing or tamper with it while it's as cold as possible, basically dead cold. Don't do this after you've moved your car, you know, turned it around in the driveway. Cold, cold, cold. So that's what I'm gonna do. Usually mass airflow sensor cleaner. CRC is usually the brand I use. It was spraying a little goofy earlier. It seemed a little goofy to me. Uh-oh. That's all. Anyway, it's something wrong with this spray. There's content in there, it just isn't spraying properly at all. It's spitting. And that's it. I just let it air dry. I don't wipe anything down, not on this not on this surface. So let it air dry. At this point, just get my paper towel and just wipe around here in case there's anything. That's just the mounting surface, so there's nothing really to worry about. And I'll grab the camera so I can show you what's on the other side once you remove this element. Make sure you do not drop this thing. If I were caught in a position where I needed to drop something between the camera and the MAF sensor, camera's going down. Okay, so let's get a light. Just a mesh to basically stabilize the flow coming in. No, the mesh is on the air filter. I thought this one had a strainer on the end, but no, it's fine. So that's it, just an air filter on the other end, which is usually right here. You've seen the other videos on air filter replacement, right? Okay, so this thing being cleaned, or clean, I'll insert it just as it was and put the screws back in. I'd almost lost these screws. Good thing my screwdriver is magnetic, so it's able to get it. Well, might as well get a magnetic pickup tool for the job as well, right? But essentially, only 4 tools will get you where you need to go. Flathead screwdriver, and the flathead screwdriver is also a certain size hex. Can't remember what exactly, but it's also a hex. Time millimeter. We are about to use an 8mm. You'll see why I even brought it out. It's plastic. Don't tighten the hell out of this thing. Just tighten it to spec. I don't know the spec number right now, so I'm not gonna mention anything. Alright, great. So now let's get to the throttle body. We already removed the electric plug, and now it's time to remove the throttle body itself. You do have coolant tubes going to it. Let's focus a little bit. Okay, so you have coolant tubes coming to the throttle body, which in this case happen to be at the bottom, so we can't see them. But get your 8mm tools and start doing them. You have 4 of them. Doesn't take much effort to turn them. Another one here, it's a little interesting when you have tubes in the way as well. Oh, I thought I had it. I have to move this way. Still a pretty tight fit because of these tubes over here. Whatever you do, don't strip these bolts. Okay, now that everything's loose, the ones you can pull out. Don't want things falling in there and getting lost, right? If I removed my gloves, I bet I'll be able to work that one a little faster. But it's winter, and my lotion situation, oh, I'm trying. It's just that winter does quickly make quick work of my lotion effort. So I want to show you my dry, ashy hands. Okay, so here it is. All 4 of those. Let's get a little closer now. Zoom in as I remove it, and we'll see what's all involved with the throttle body. Okay, so pull this forward. That's it. You have a rubber gasket over here. With rubber gaskets, I'm pretty sure the manual says that you should replace this with new when you remove it. But in the past, you know, what you could do is just remove it and turn it one way or another so that it's not seating in the same spot. This one looks pretty good. And for 160,000 miles, this system looks really good. So not too concerned about it. But now let me get a little closer to the throttle body. So that we can look at whatever gunk needs to be cleaned, if any. Look at that. Excuse me, as I said, 'tis the season. Okay, so this is your throttle body. And those tubes over there, those 2 are your coolant tubes holding it. But I can swing it out of the way. And looking inside, as I said, there isn't much to clean. Looking here, you should be able to see some light. Should have some light. So it's not terribly dirty. And people get into problems because, say, they start turning the butterfly over here, this valve, and, you know, open it 100%. Well, let's say this. The consensus is that you should not tamper with it. Do whatever you can to clean it without messing with it. Personally, as I said, I don't even typically clean them. However, in situations where I've had to clean these, well, let me put it like this. I don't typically clean throttle bodies or mass airflow sensors as a maintenance step. Make sure you have good filters all over and all that, so you wouldn't have to deal with that. However, in situations that I've had to clean them, which I have over 10 different times on these drive-by-wire throttle bodies, I have not really had any problems. I've never killed a throttle body just by cleaning. So this is why I keep repeating. It's a warning. I'll teach you how to do it. It's like I'll teach you how to kill somebody, but I'll encourage you not to kill anybody, if that makes sense. So for what I do here, typically this is it. Come here, clean this gunk from the bottom and the top sometimes. I do my best to clean it in a plate closing motion. So here it opens this way. You can kind of feel it. So I usually do my best to clean it going this way, right? And as I said, there isn't much to clean. I don't use carb clean because that carb cleaner will probably tear any coating that you have in there up. What I do is I use my airflow sensor cleaner as well onto a paper towel. If this one would spray, that would be great. Okay, we are done. Well, I don't know, I might do this off camera, I don't know. But it's just smoke, you know, it's a soot that you see on your tailpipe, which is crazy, right? Well, actually you have soot in your intake air. But it's not that bad. This is not a complete tutorial on, hey, this is me cleaning it, just giving you tips. Once you get there, you do whatever it is you need to do to clean it up. But for me, it's just how to get here. You could involve a toothbrush if you wanted to, but what you want to do is open it as little as possible. And as I said, on mine, there isn't really anything worth cleaning. It's just, I'm just doing this because I'm so far in the video. Just a little bit of soot. I don't expect any check engine lights. I don't expect this car to run any different. If I open the butterfly with my plug connected, sometimes it might need a relearn to know where 0% is, you know, when it's idle, where your plate should be. But This one shouldn't need it. If I do end up needing a relearn, I'll add that in the video, but for now, it seems just fine. I can open it and close it with no issues. There's nothing hindering it. So which is one of those reasons when you come to clean it, you need to try to understand what exactly you're cleaning. What are you stopping? What are you encouraging, right? If the thing opens and closes as it's needed to, you know, why are you cleaning it? If you have like some sticky gum over there, if somehow you manage to send gum through your air filter, mass airflow sensor, and into your throttle body, and now it's sticking, usually you'll get a code, by the way. So throttle body, they will give you a code. Usually you can get high idle or something like that, but these ones are fine. So what I'm going to do is put everything back together and just, well, in the reverse order of removal, and then call it good. So for now, I'll start installing that. I'll just wipe this surface, make sure everything is mating properly. Get some lubricant if you would like to. Vaseline is a pretty good lubricant in this case, but I should be fine. As I said, this is one of those really stress-free maintenance items. I'm trying to pick up that bolt that fell in there. This is, I need to get my other tool, magnetic pickup tool. Finally do need it. Here's a magnet. Out it goes. Okay, let's put everything back together. I'll start by installing this one at the bottom because it was harder to get to. Just have it hanging in there. Doesn't have to pass all the way through. You don't want to scratch any gaskets. Then push this down. There you go. I usually put the most jacked up bolts on the top, the easiest to find places, and the easiest to address in case something breaks or strips. But I'm pretty careful and hopeful that we don't have to exercise that today. Just hand tighten it. I'm not fully torquing anything down. I want the gasket to mate properly. Alright, torque it to spec. This is plastic, be careful. Don't ask me the torque spec right now. I am calibrated to do these things by hand. But I will probably post the number later. There you go. Don't break stuff, right? Clickety. Don't forget that. And remember, they have to click. It's not just a matter of inserting it and saying, oh, it's good now. They have to click to be secure. That. Heard the sound. That's good. This one here, might as well do it as well. Can you see it? The mass airflow sensor. It also needs to click. Perfect. Alright, so now let's get the tube installed and connected between the two places. Okay, you'll remember that the end with a T close to it is on that's near the throttle body. So just install this however you want. You will be forced to find its correct level its correct orientation pretty soon. This one doesn't really allow you to twist it in any different way. Like I was talking about installing it this way, for example, but because of the oil filled tube, you can't really do that. The other side you can. So let's do this. Then here, and you have stops, tube stops. The first one will be, let me show you this one on the mass airflow sensor housing. Right here, you see it. You basically have a lip that this stops on. Alright, you can't go any further than that. And then, as I said, this nipple here is just to hold the clamp down, but you can definitely make do without if it breaks, and they do break. This is a 2011, although it has 160,000 miles, it is still pretty young, so the rubber is still pretty supple. It hasn't gotten to an age where every piece of rubber you touch will end up breaking or crumbling in your hands, but rubber gets there, always does. Okay, that's good. Let's go up. And let's start talking about tube stops in this case. See this lip over here? Yeah, that's a tube stop. So go all the way to the end. Make sure your clamp is well seated, because I opened it so far wide that it kind of went over this way. So make sure it's well seated, and do your best to look at, you can't see all the way to the bottom, but you can at least make sure that this thing is in line. Then tighten it. There you go. One more thing, don't forget that. Your Pcv system, positive crankcase ventilation system. Because this is the breather to it. You do have the tube going in somewhere else. The Pcv valve is actually, I'll talk about it in a bit. This is just the breather for the Pcv system. As I said, you can't really do much with the clamp in place, but once you open it, things could happen. Once again, I'll just give you an instruction or a tip. Vaseline is good for lubrication purposes like this. It's lubrication purposes in situations like this, but I'll make it do without. Okay, so I'll put this back to approximately the location it was installed initially, or originally. Okay, good. At this point, what's left? The time of the clock is 31 minutes. Obviously, with some time for instruction and this and that. I believe that within 45 minutes, you should be able to do both this side and this side. As I said, it's the same steps, just with me talking in between, trying to show you exactly what's being done. But might as well pull this out. Show you how the other side looks like. Coolant tubes. This breather hose. The harness for the throttle body is on this side in this case, right here, instead of here. Mass airflow sensors right here. Right? It's not too complicated, pretty much the same, and I'm not going to deal with it because, as I said, I think it's quite a useless. Well, at minimum, it's a controversial maintenance step.
At best, it's useless, but it just depends on how bad your situation is. For me and all the cars I've worked on, not really a problem. Okay, cool. Let me put it away now. Installation is the reverser removal.
Pull out the tools. Make sure you take everything's good. So it feels a little loose still. So I'm going to work on it a little more. Yeah, no holes up in that. Okay, great. Take inventory of all the tools that you brought to the task today. 10 millimeter, 8 millimeter, flathead, Phillips head, and pliers. That should be it. Everything looks good. Nothing is leaking. Nothing is gaping at us. And install in the reverse way of removal. By the way, I should talk about this. It's pretty evident, but so in the back of these covers you have two 10 these are 10 millimeter heads, but these are what, 6 by 1, right? Thread bolts. Here you just have studs. Then the front two studs go into these rubber receivers. Well, they are rubber, but right now they feel like plastic hockey pucks. Then the two bolts go back here, and that's it. I'm glad we have some sort of an interesting cover, because that intake manifold is not pretty, not like the M45. So that's it. Let's put everything away. And that's it. Game over.